In this video, I would like to share with you a little bit about a verse in the Bible that does illuminate the importance of the separation of powers when it comes to civil government. So that verse is found in Isaiah 33:22. It says, "For the Lord is our judge, our lawgiver, and our king. He will care for us and save us." I want to read to you with that verse in mind a little bit out of this book, America's Providential History by Mark Beliles and Stephen McDowell. On page 191, they say, James Madison wrote that, quote, "The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny," end quote. He went on to say in the Federalist number 47 that, quote, "The three great departments of power should be separate and distinct. The oracle who is always consulted and cited on this subject is the celebrated Montesquieu," end quote. And then the authors go on and say, Montesquieu and our founders broke the powers of government into these three divisions because that is how the Bible defined God's government of the universe in Isaiah 33:22. "For the Lord is our judge," parallel to the Chief Justice. "The Lord is our lawgiver," that would be parallel to the legislative branch. "The Lord is our king," that would be parallel to the chief executive or the president. "He will save us." Since God, end quote of the verse, and then the authors go on, "Since God is perfect and infallible, he can possess all three powers and still be just and fair, but not sinful men." So the idea is that God can have centralized power and handle that because he is God. However, mankind is distinct, different from God, and therefore should not be entrusted with too much power because we are prone to abuse that power. We are prone to sin. Therefore, instead of having centralized power, power should be decentralized when it comes to man's government and civil government. I would like to interject for a moment and emphasize that when it comes to how the U.S. government has decentralized power, we've already talked about how that is done through separating the powers into the three branches of government on the federal level: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And we've also already talked about the checks and balances within those three branches of government at the federal level. However, the other major means of decentralizing power in the United States through the Constitution was through implementing a system for local self-government and designating certain rights to the state and local levels and even to individuals. We see certain rights protected in the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution of the United States. So I wanted to interject this and again just recap that when it comes to decentralizing power in the United States Constitution, yes, we see that done through the separation of powers into the three branches of government at the federal level and the checks and balances within those three branches. However, also through local self-government, whether it is giving certain rights to the states or local governments or protecting certain rights of the individuals. So with that, let's go ahead and return to the video. So separating the powers into three distinct branches and having a system for those branches to work together and for power to be checked and balanced is important. And our Constitution sets up that system. So it's really incredible. And I think if we keep those concepts in mind, the ideas that our founding fathers wanted to make sure that power was decentralized so that no one person or group of people could have too much power because they knew their tendency to abuse that power. So again, keeping in mind when we read the Constitution, the importance of a decentralized form of government, power decentralized, not centralized in one person or a small group of people or even a mob, but decentralizing power. And how do we do that? Well, through the three branches of government and through a system for checks and balances of that power. So I just thought that that is a helpful lens to keep in mind, but also we are getting at a little bit of that origin and the foundation for our form of government. So it's difficult to understand our form of government and to have the motivation to uphold our form of government if we really don't understand where it came from. So I hope that this little bit of video on this topic helps with that. And next we're going to talk a little bit about one of the checks and balances that is set up in one of the amendments to the Constitution that does allow for power to be checked and balanced. So we've already talked about how Supreme Court justices are put in the Supreme Court and how the legislative branch, the executive branch, plays a role in that aspect of the judicial branch. And next we're going to talk about the term limits of the U.S. president and a little bit of how power is checked and balanced through that as well. So stay tuned for the next portion. Thanks for your time.